Madame d'Aulnoy, the woman who coined the term fairy tales, has some of the wildest, most out-of-pocket fairy tales she wrote herself. And today I am telling you one of the wildest with one of the most unique endings. It's called The Pigeon and the Dove. A king and a queen have one daughter, Constantia. But when the king dies in a hunting accident, the queen goes to the sovereign fairy, her benevolent friend, and says, "What's going to happen to my daughter?" And the fairy is like, "Ooh, your daughter is going to attract the love of a nearby giant, and it's going to cause disaster." So to prevent this, the mother sends the daughter to go grow up as a shepherdess in a pastoral valley, pretending to be a simple girl, watched over by the fairy. When our girl turns 16, this unusually clever ram that she has, like as a pet that talks, gets kidnapped by a wolf, but the wolf doesn't eat it, it takes it away, so she chases after it. She gets captured by that giant that she's been meaning to avoid this entire time and thrown into his big sack with the ram and a bunch of other animals, but then she manages to escape when the giant sets them in a tree. She has scissors on her, I guess, and she cuts the bag open and releases all the animals, and she and the ram run away. Now she's lost in some other kingdom, so she stops by a river to go to sleep, and this prince, whose name is Constancio, that's right, Constancia and Constancio. He comes and watches her sleep and thinks she's gorgeous in the normal creepy way. But he wakes her up and she likes him too. And then he's like, "Hey, you want to come be a shepherdess at my castle and, watch my mom's sheep?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'll do that." So she goes with him. And like I said, they are into each other. So they keep secretly meeting while she's watching the flocks because he's supposed to marry a princess. She is a princess and she knows that, but she's not supposed to tell him. She's still trying to keep it a secret. Eventually there's a misunderstanding where Constancio thinks that Constancia is in love with someone else, and so he takes to bed weak and dying from love. And so our girl decides to save him. She tells the queen she has a remedy, and it's just made up herbs and stuff. She goes in the room and her presence revives him. Once the queen actually lays good eyes on Constancia, she's so horrified that her son might marry a shepherdess. So she tells her son, "Son, I am sending you away to another kingdom where you're supposed to marry this other princess, so say goodbye." Now by this time, our girl has told Constancio that she really is a princess, but they can't tell anyone because they still think keeping that a secret will keep her safe from the giant, even though it didn't before. So he leaves to go marry this other woman to protect our girl. Otherwise he'd reveal her secret. One day Constancia is out gathering flowers, crying and missing her man, and she suddenly finds all of these snakes and vipers around her, and they try to kill her. But Constancio has given her this magic ring that makes it so that they can't hurt her, and so she goes home. Turns out the queen sent them wanting to kill her and make it look like an accident. Really good thing he gave her that ring. So in an effort to kill her again, the queen sends our girl on a mission to an inaccessible fairy who lives deep in the forest, guarded by, wait for it, man-eating elephants. So our girl goes, but it's not the ring that saves her this time, it's that ram, Rusan, who is still with her. He talks to the elephants and they're all cool. The queen also tries to kill her with a magical sash that will burn the person who wears it to ashes, but that doesn't work either. So finally the queen sells her as a slave to a merchant who's about to sail on a ship, and they hold the ram back so he can't help her. Nothing saves her, she gets sold. And if you're wondering where is this sovereign fairy who's supposed to be looking over her, she still is looking over her, but she can't do anything. She can only watch. Because destiny. Meanwhile, Constancio has been so rude with this new princess he's supposed to be courting that the marriage is stalled. She's like, "I don't want to marry this dude." The queen writes to him and says, "Oh, your shepherd girl, she's gravely ill." So he rushes home and she stages this whole funeral, draping the palace in black, and says, "Oh, she's dead actually." Our dude collapses at the grave and he takes out his sword and he's about to, and that makes the queen go, okay, wait, actually she's not really dead. I sold her to some slavers, sorry. So then our dude goes out on a mission to find Constancia. One night he reaches this giant's forge that's full of fire, and Cupid, actual Greek Cupid, or I guess it's Eros in Greek, Roman Cupid. He shows up with the sovereign fairy and he's like, "Hey, we've been protecting Constancia from afar, but if you want her, you gotta prove you love her by throwing yourself in the fire." Our dude obeys instantly, jumps in the fire, and when he wakes up, he is now a pigeon. In case you forgot, this is called The Pigeon and the Dove. Now, he is so horrified by being in this new form and being unable to speak that he tries to by going off a cliff, but his wings just automatically save him. Eventually, he just plucks out all of his own feathers in despair, so he's just a naked pigeon. He's lying in the meadow, bare and longing for death, when suddenly these girls find him, and at first they're gonna put him in a pigeon pie, but he's so tame and gentle, they're like, "Let's keep him as a pet." So they take him with them, and as they're walking, he hears news of his girl. She has been captured by that giant, and she's being held in a doorless diamond tower. She has 1 day left where she either has to marry the giant or die, and she's planning to throw herself from the top of the tower and die. Well, it turns out those girls work for the sovereign fairy, and so when they bring our dude as a pigeon to the fairy, she knows who he is, and she's like, hey, I'm gonna give you this magic ring, go take it to your girl, she'll turn into a dove, and you can both fly away from the tower. So he does. He takes it to her in his little beak, she figures it out, puts it on, and the two of them fly away together, and then the giant, in despair, throws himself into the sea. Once they're in the forest together, our dude suddenly has the ability to speak, and he tells her who he really is and what really happened. She can speak too, and they're like, oh, we're together, we're in love, yay. So then she's like, well, let's go to the sovereign fairy and she'll turn us back to humans. And then Constancio says, hear me out. If we retain our present forms, we will still burn with the same flames as Constancia and Constancio. Let's stay birds so that we can just be together with no worries of the empire or our parents or politics and just live alone in the woods, enjoying each other's company as birds. She says, yes, let's lead an innocent life without ambition, without a wish, just us and our bird love. Then Cupid and the sovereign fairy show up and they say, good idea. They make this beautiful, perfect, enchanted wilderness for them, like secluded, eternal, like the Garden of Eden. They then swear fidelity and legally get married by Cupid, because, you know, that's important. Even if you're birds, it's got to be under matrimony. And the fairy says, hey, if you ever change your mind and you want to be human, come to me and I'll change you. And they're like, yeah, we don't think we're gonna though. And then absolutely randomly, Cupid is like, oh, remember the ram, Rusan? He was actually a transformed king, but now he's transformed back and he's got his kingdom back, so yay. I'm sure Constancia is just kind of like, okay, cool. And then they live together in perfect happiness for the rest of their bird lives. As much as I'm not into the idea of like eating worms and bugs and loving my man with our bird parts, I really actually get their desire to just be alone and away from the world, especially today. Like, I get the idea of just hiding and being together and pretending it all doesn't exist. It all does exist, though. I mean, you could argue they're being kind of irresponsible because they're supposed to have these positions of power and they're just like, nah, we're just gonna have pleasure forever by ourselves and just say F you to the rest of the world. But again, I see the appeal.